We live in a world that is just obsessed with speed, where being busy is like a badge of honor. But what if our whole approach to getting things done is, well, wrong? In this explainer, we're going to unpack a pretty wild idea that the real secret to moving faster is to actually slow down.
This line, it just cuts right to the chase, doesn't it? It's a direct challenge to that little voice in your head that's always screaming, if you're not multitasking, you're failing. It's telling us that all this frantic energy, this constant hair on fire hustle, it's not just making us stressed, it's actually making us worse at what we do. And yeah, that frantic energy, it's got a name. Let's call it the eternal scurry. You know the feeling. It's like your life has turned into this high-speed game of Tetris, where the blocks are just falling way too fast, and all you can do is react. It's this constant pressure to crush it before you get crushed.
And this right here, this is the big question. It's the paradox that sits right at the heart of our crazy modern lives. It sounds totally backwards, I get it, but the proof for this idea, well, it comes from some really surprising places. We're talking ancient warriors, cutting-edge neuroscience, and even the physics of your morning commute.
So let's put a formal name on it, the speed paradox. And it's basically this, the principle that when you move with intention, with deliberation, you don't just get better results, you often get them sooner. And look, this isn't about being lazy, not at all. It's about being brutally effective. Okay, so where's the evidence? Well, like I said, it comes from some of the most fascinating and, frankly, unexpected corners of the world. We're going to look at a samurai master, what's happening inside your brain when you're bored, and yep, traffic jams. Let's kick things off with a classic story. Picture this, a young, cocky swordsman. He's a total blur of motion, all flash and fury, swinging his sword like he's trying to fight off a swarm of hornets. He's up against an old master who barely seems to move at all. But when the fight begins, the master takes one single, deliberate step, makes one tiny, precise movement, and it's over. The kid was so busy being fast, he was completely blind to the real opening. And that story brings us to this incredible concept, something they teach in elite special forces and even to surgeons. Smooth is fast. Think about it. When you try to do something really fast, what happens? You fumble, you make typos, you drop things, you end up paying what's called the fumble tax because you have to stop and redo it. But when you move deliberately, smoothly, you get it right the first time. And that's what makes you fast. Turns out our brains are actually wired for this kind of smoothness. When you stop trying to force your focus, like when you're in the shower or just staring out a window, a special system in your brain called the default mode network kicks into high gear. This is like your brain's secret weapon. It's the background problem solver, connecting random ideas to find solutions you'd never find by just staring at a spreadsheet. And this isn't just some nice idea. There's science to back it up. A 2012 study gave two groups a creative problem to solve. The group that was told to just focus, they did okay. But the other group, the one that was first given a simple, boring task that let their minds wander, they totally crushed it. The difference was huge. The big takeaway here is that downtime for your brain is actually uptime for your creativity. And this really is the heart of it. We have to slow down the constant stream of input to give our brains the space they need for brilliant output. Seriously, think about it. Your best ideas almost never happen when you're forcing them. They just pop into your head the moment you finally let go. And this principle doesn't just work inside our heads. It scales up to huge, complex systems all around us. For a really powerful real-world example, just think about traffic. We've all been there. Every driver is pushing it, tailgating, leaving zero room for error. All it takes is one person to tap their brakes and, bam, a shockwave ripples backward, and miles behind, everything grinds to a complete standstill. In this case, individual speed creates collective slowness. So how on earth do you solve that? Well, traffic engineers found something that sounds impossible. By using variable speed limits to force everyone to slow down by, say, 10 miles per hour before they hit the congested part, the overall flow of traffic gets way better. Get this. You can literally be forced to drive slower and end up arriving at your destination 20 minutes sooner. That's not magic, it's just math. Okay, so if slowing down is so obviously effective, why are we so terrible at it? Why are we all so addicted to being busy all the time? Well, the answer lies in this deep psychological flaw that pretty much all of us fall for. It's called the urgency trap. Our brains are basically wired to react to whatever's screaming the loudest. The ping of an email, the buzz of a text. These things feel urgent, so we jump on them.
and we prioritize them over the things that are actually important, like long-term strategy, our health, or our relationships. We spend our whole day in the shallows and never get to the deep work.
Here's a great way to think about it. Take a professional sprinter. Do you think they sprint at 100% full-out speed every single day? No way. If they did that, they'd get injured or burn out in a week. The vast majority of their training is actually slow, deliberate work, recovery, stretching, mobility, technical drills. The whole point is to build their capacity to be a coiled spring on race day, not a frayed wire. So how can we actually apply this to our own lives? How do we escape the urgency trap and start using the power of slow? Well, here is a really simple, totally actionable experiment that you can try for yourself. It's called the 10% rule. Just pick a few things you do every single day, walking to your car, typing an email, drinking your coffee, and just intentionally do them 10% slower. The results can be kind of shocking. You'll suddenly catch that typo in the email you were about to send. You'll notice that a colleague looks completely exhausted, and maybe you'll say a kind word. You'll feel your own shoulders drop an inch. You'll realize a lot of your speed was just panic in disguise.
And this brings us all the way back to that old swordsman in this absolutely beautiful Japanese concept called ma. Ma is the pause, the interval, the empty space between things. It's the silence between the notes in a piece of music or the empty canvas in a painting. And the whole idea is that this nothingness is what gives shape and meaning to everything else.
And that really is what the speed paradox is all about. Our lives are just filled with noise, with tasks, with this relentless need to do. But the meaning, the creativity, and yeah, even the real speed, they aren't found in the noise itself. They're found in the moments of silence, the pauses that we give ourselves. So, I'll just leave you with this question. In a world that is constantly screaming at you to go faster, where can you carve out a moment to slow down? And when you do, what incredible things might you find waiting for you in that space?